Electronic devices and circuits subject. Two more questions and answers. Seen in link at manengineering. Electronics devices and circuits. Questions 1. N-type semiconductor, which are the majority carriers? Four choices are force electrons, both A and B, none of this. Answer is electrons. In N-type semiconductors, majority carriers is electrons, that is negative carriers. So put answer electrons. P-type semiconductors, which of the following are majority carriers? Positive carriers are P-type semiconductors majority carriers. So put answer A, holes. P-type semiconductor informed by adding a small amount of trivalent impurities and covalent impurities. That is answer. Which bias the positive and negative terminal of the battery is connected to P-type and N-type? Forward bias. That is answer. Which bias the positive and negative terminal of the battery is connected to N-type and P-type? Reverse bias. That is answer. What is the threshold voltage for germanium? That is 0.3 volts. Answer. Voltage or cutting or threshold voltage. This meaning of threshold voltage. What is the threshold voltage for silicon? Silicon threshold voltage 0.7 volts. Threshold voltage or knee voltage or cutting voltage. Silicon threshold voltage or knee voltage cutting voltage is 0.7 volts. How many directions diode permits the current? Only one direction diode permits the current. Diode is used as clippers, clampers and rectifiers. Answer all of the above. Which type of breakdown will occur in Zener diode? Avalanche breakdown and Zener breakdown. That is answer. Voltage avalanche breakdown occur in Zener diode. High reverse voltage. Which voltage Zener breakdown occur in Zener diode? Four options: low reverse voltage, high reverse voltage, high forward voltage, low forward voltage. Which voltage Zener breakdown occur in Zener diode? That is slow reverse voltage. That is answer. Zener diode where it is used? Regulator, meter, protection and stabilizer. All of the above. That is answer. What is the purpose of rectifier? That is convert AC signal into DC signal. That is answer. What are the types of rectifier? Bridge rectifier, full wave rectifier, off-wave rectifier. All of the above are types of rectifiers. Energy gap between the valence band and conduction band is called forbidden energy gap. Which of the following are insulators? Wood and glass are insulators. Which of the following are an example for semiconductors? That is silicon is semiconductor. Wood, copper or glass are woods and glass are insulators. Silicon is semiconductor. Which one of the following is a conductor? Aluminium and copper. Which of the following is a type of extrinsic semiconductor? N-type and P-type semiconductors or extrinsic semiconductors. A pure semiconductor is called intrinsic semiconductor. Adding impurities to a pure semiconductor is called extrinsic semiconductor. Adding impurities. The semiconductor is called extrinsic semiconductor. Adding pentavalent impurities to a pure semiconductor is called intrinsic semiconductor. Each region, the base emitter and collector base junction of a transistor is reverse bias. That is cutoff region. Zero signal values of IC versus VCE are known as VC is collector emitter voltage, IC is collector current. Zero signal values of IC as VCC are known as operating point, quiescent point and Q point, all of the above. Operating point, Q point of a transistor, also known as the Q point, is a specific DC voltage and current condition at the transistor as terminals that defines its behavior when no AC signal is applied. Resting state of transistor, no signal applied to the input. IC is collector current, VCE collector emitter voltage. VCE versus IC characteristics. Which region of transistor has to be operated for amplification? Active region. What are the types of transistor biasing? Fixed and self-bias. Which bias is normally used in applications? Self-bias. What is the other name of fixed bias? Base resistor method. What is the peak inverse voltage for off-way rectifier? Peak inverse voltage of off-way rectifier is Vm, that is peak inverse voltage. Vm is the peak voltage of the AC input signal. This is because during the negative off cycle of the input, the diode is reverse bias and must withstand the entire peak voltage without damage called maximum reverse voltage, that is peak inverse voltage. What is the peak inverse voltage for bridge rectifier? That is Vm. Answer. Reason: peak inverse voltage PIV is the formula for the peak inverse voltage PIV of a diode in a full wave bridge rectifier is PIV is equal to Vm, where Vm is the peak voltage of the input AC supply. This means each diode in a bridge rectifier only needs to withstand the peak input voltage, not twice the peak voltage as in standard full wave rectifier. Off-wave bridge rectifier. Bridge rectifiers, unlike off-wave rectifier, utilize both the positive and negative cycles of the AC input. Reverse bias full wave bridge rectifier. During the negative off cycle, the diode that is reverse bias will experience the full peak voltage of AC supply. What is the peak inverse voltage for full wave rectifier? Full wave rectifier PIV is 2Vm. PIV is peak inverse voltage is 2V maximum for a standard full wave rectifier and V maximum for the bridge full wave rectifier, where V maximum is the peak voltage of the AC input. Explanation is in this configuration the PIV is twice the peak voltage of the secondary winding, 2V maximum, because during the negative off cycle one diode is reverse biased while the other diode experiences a voltage equal to the sum of the peak secondary voltage and the voltage across the conducting diode. Full wave bridge rectifier only two diodes are reverse bias and the voltage across each of them is equal to the peak secondary voltage. What is the efficiency for the full wave and bridge rectifier? That is 81.6%. What is the efficiency for off-wave rectifier? That is 40.8%. Which device is used to convert pulsating DC into steady DC? That is filter. What are the types of filter? TT filter, OC filter and LC filter, all of the above. That is answer. The rectifiers are used in DC motor, welding power supply, UPS, all of the above. Rectifiers are used all of above. Which are the portions of transistors? Emitter, collector, base, all of the above. All of the above are portions as parts of transistor. What are the types of transistor? NP and PNP are transistor types. Which device is used to increase the magnetics of input signal without affecting its frequency including wave shape? That is amplifier. In which region the base emitter and collector base junction of a transistor is forward and reverse bias? That is active region. Which region the base emitter and collector base junction of a transistor are forward bias? That is saturation region. Use the formula for stability factor. That is S is equal to beta plus 1 divided by 1 minus beta bracket of DIB divided by DIC bracket. What is the stability factor for fixed bias? Beta plus 1. What is the stability factor for self bias? That is 1. What are the types of transistor configuration? CCC and CB, that is all of the above configuration. What is the other name of self bias? Emitter and voltage divided bias, that is other name of self bias. Thank you.